This segment is brought to you by Jigmasters. Step up your game with high-quality performance jigs, spinner baits, buzz baits, and more from jigmasters.com. And always, when in doubt, get the jig out.
Welcome to The Reel Down on Paddle and Fin with your hosts, Dan Perry and Jimmy Skinner, where we talk about everything tournament kayak fishing. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Reel Down on Paddle and Fin. It's Monday night. Welcome back. How you doing, Jimmy?
Pretty good, man. I'm already psyched up, but I'm trying to stay energized to finish getting all my crap ready to go to Texas tomorrow.
Yes,
it's not going well.
Some people are already out there. I guess they're going straight from like Broken Bow, going straight from the Hobies over to Texas.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be out there kind of early, getting there tomorrow, but apparently not. So, but we did. Shout out to Russ Snyder. He called the Airbnb owner, and they're letting us come a day early instead of us having to. We were just gonna kind of mosey our way over there and then sleep in the truck, or get one of the Motel 6s out there that you might get shot at. But now we don't have to. So thanks, Russ. And we were joking. I sent him a message since he just, won the Broken Bow event and was like, "Hey, that means stakes are on you." And he said, "Yeah, so it's going to be a good week."
That guy, he's so crazy. Is he on? I didn't see. Is he on KBN tonight? I figured. I
have no idea.
Yeah.
I haven't, I won't even lie to you. I didn't think about what day it was until about 30 minutes ago, and I almost missed being on this show. I was getting ready to start packing a couple of things, and I just was like, God, I'm forgetting something. And then I was like, oh, God, it's Monday night. I got to go set. I already packed up all my computer stuff. I had to go and pack up all of it.
Well, that was a big tournament this week, but we had just had Russ on not too long ago. So this week we decided to go another route. But congrats to all those Hobie guys. Definitely tough for a lot of people out there. But yeah, tonight, as always, we are sponsored by The Dugout, the best shop in the country. Got to believe that. But what's going on at The Dugout this week, Jimmy?
Well, the Reel Down deal is still going on. I'll go ahead and tell you again in case you didn't know. St. Croix Legend Extreme rods at regular price. Get a free Shimano SLX reel of your choice.
Extreme.
Right. Yeah. We've talked about they got the Burley Pro stuff. The St. Croix, what is it, Victory?
Yeah.
The Russian-looking rod. That's the only thing I can think about is that it's like the Russian, whatever. Not going to go there. But so this week they wanted to let y'all know that they've got Yakima racks and stuff in for putting on your car or your trailer or whatever to load your boats up. The Yakima topwater boxes, which if you have not ever seen one, Google it. I have one. It is the best thing in the world for carrying your rods, in my opinion. No one else outside of now fly fishing, there's some nice stuff, but as far as just carrying a whole bunch of rods and reels, you cannot beat the Yakima topwater box. I think I've got paddles and electronics in the bottom of mine right now, and I think I've got 12 rod and reel combos in there, and it's all comfortable, locks up real nice, watertight. Well, I won't say watertight. It's weatherproof. Rain's not getting in, but definitely don't put it low on your trailer and wet launch your kayak. That's why I just rebuilt my trailer. And then they also wanted to let everybody know that they're the Southeast dealer for the On the Water Innovations trailers, which, again, if you have not checked out one of those trailers, I'll go ahead and plug Catherine Fields. Go check out Kayak Fishing. She's got one of their trailers, and I was so jealous of her setup that I kind of replicated it myself and built my own because I'm sorry, I am too broke to buy a cool trailer like that. But yeah, they're the dealer down there at the Dugout, so go down there and check them out and tell them that me and Dan and Paddle and Fin sent you that way.
And yeah, you can check out, they have like the tourney light, the tourney double. They have all the different standard ones. Chad Hoover has one. You can check out his site. I mean, his is custom. They don't have that one at the Dugout, but yeah, man, it's a veteran owned by Denny, and it's just, they're putting out the best. There's a lot of great trailers, like, a lot of different brands out there, but On the Water Innovations, there's they're the best on the market right now. It's like on the water and everybody else. It is.
And Dan can say that. Dan has a Tennessee trailers, and that's a good trailer.
Yeah,
that's a nice trailer.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just not. There's custom things like the bars on the bottom. They're tilted down, so your kayak just slides off the bottom. Like the attention to detail on the On-Water Innovations trailers, they're just like a cut above anything else out there. And if you haven't checked them out, if you're watching this, you probably have, but if you haven't, dude, they are the best out there. I mean, there's no doubt.
Legit.
Yeah. All right. Somebody loves my hat. I don't know who that is, Facebook user, but you're all right in my book. Yeah. And yes, he's on. Chris Mark says Russ is on KBN tonight. So good.
Well, we get to talk about Chris a little later. He was out of the money by one spot due to a tiebreaker on Gunnersville. That sucks. But
yeah, we'll talk about that tournament. TVKA, talk about that tournament tonight. But if you want to fish Gunnersville this weekend, Coleman's having a tournament. So yeah, run on down to Gunnersville. But so here we go. This week we're mixing it up, doing a little bit something different, going way out west. We've got the Urban Anglers Club of Los Angeles. This week they were on the Santa Fe Dam. But really, so something we don't get to say enough on this show, and we should every week, it's a shame that we don't, is we want to say thank you to all the active duty veterans, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and now Guardians. You have to say Guardians in that too, for the Space Force. That kind of weirds me out still. But Guardians, that's so badass. But also
really is.
The first responders out there, they help us. I mean, they're keeping us safe right now, and they're there whenever you need them. But last week, the club, the Urban Anglers Club of Los Angeles, they held a benefit tournament for one of their own anglers, Jose Luis Azora. He was a police officer with LA County, and he was killed in the line of duty. So they were having a benefit tournament for him. So to bring them on, first we have, hopefully I don't mess up names, Kirk Metoyer, and we have
Dan and Jimmy.
Hey, and we have Alex Cox. I'm not going to mess that one up. Arnold Vlazquez.
There you go. Got it.
Man, dude, I'm okay.
We do this podcast for about 10 years, and you might be just fine.
No, I look at your names every day.
I'm sorry. I'll say it now. I tell you, it's the California ones that get you too. I'm fine reading through the tournament, and then we hit the California tournaments, and I'm just like, no, I'm not even gonna try. Just congrats if you cashed a check, guys.
Thanks.
Well, thank y'all for being on the show. How y'all doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having us.
Good.
Yeah, real good.
All right, so we'll do a little round the horn here. We'll start with Kirk. Tell everybody who you are and how you got into kayak fishing.
Well, I'm Kirk Metoyer, and the kayak fishing came about because I love fishing, for one thing. I used to compete in a lot of bass tournaments in the regular bass boats, and then something happened. I had a stroke and brain surgery, and couldn't fish in those big tournaments anymore. But it was real important that I exercised a lot. And so that's how I got into the kayaking. I got a kayak. That way I can exercise and fish at the same time while I rehab myself. So all worked out pretty good. I'm fine now and still kayaking and fishing.
Very cool. What kind of kayak you in?
I have a Hobie Pro Angler 12.
Okay, big money. All right. We'll see
Getting
what's
them
going
leg
on.
workouts, huh?
Baller. All right. Alex, how about you, man?
Good. So I actually I fished in college through the FLW College Series, and then there's kind of a handful of years where I just not really doing much, and then I found out about the Urban Angler Club in 2018, and I fished my first event on a stand-up paddleboard because I live right by the ocean, so that's pretty much all I had at the time. And then after doing that, and then one of the KBF Opens on Clear Lake on the paddleboard, I decided I need to up my game a little bit. So then the next year I kind of went all in with a kayak and trolling motor and everything. And I've been doing every kayak tournament that I can manage, from SoCal up to NorCal and even out west. I was at Gunnersville last year, and I think that any club, whether it's big or small, is important to grow in the sport. And the Urban Angler Club is a really good organization that gives a lot of guys opportunities just to kind of get a taste of what competitive fishing can be like, whether they're from the bank or shore or a kayak or float tube. It's a really good kind of grassroots beginners club for a lot of people. And I can't say thank you enough to Kirk for putting it on for us.
And so this is a club that allows everything, right, Kirk?
Well, all small watercraft. So boats have to be 14 feet or less, and we don't allow any gas motors. So we get a lot of float tubers, kayakers, like Alex said, paddle boarders, pretty much anything that's a small watercraft. And we do allow shore anglers as well to come in, join our club, and even join the tournament. So we try not to turn anybody away. You do have to be 18 and over because of liability reasons. But if the kids come and fish with their parents, we'll allow that too.
Very cool.
Very cool.
All right, Arnold, how about you, man?
I'm actually new to tournament fishing. I just started. I actually fished a couple tournaments with another guy that Kirk used to sponsor. Remember those, Kirk?
Yeah, that's how it all started. There's just you guys fishing from shore and having competition against each other. I heard about it, went and started sponsoring some of those events with my homemade worms and stuff like that. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. I actually don't know how I got chosen to put the club together, to be honest with you, but it just kind of ended up that way.
Yeah. So, and then Kirk started his thing. And what I liked about his club is that they allowed various watercrafts. And I don't fish out of a kayak. I fish out of a pond prowler. It's like a little 8-foot pontoon boat. It's 4x8. So
Okay.
that's what attracted me to go there. And then that was my first actual season of tournament fishing, and I fell in love right away. So
Already catching chicks. I like it.
yeah.
It's a cool twist on it for sure. I don't know. I think it would be cool if we had more local stuff like that, where guys used pond prowlers or float tubes. NACA had a guy one year. I can't remember which body of water we were fishing, but we had a guy show up in a float tube, and I want to say he top 10'd. And that'll just make you, I don't know. Like, I'm happy for the guy, but then you're like, God, I suck.
Well, a couple of guys actually won remember, Kirk, on shore. Remember?
Yeah, we've had a couple winners on shore. And actually, one of our club members, Mario Bass, he was actually in the running for Urban Angler of the Year. He fished all the tournaments from shore, and he was hanging in there pretty tough. So I actually went out and got him a special trophy for best shore angler. So that just shows you that you can come out with us, and just really it's about having a good time and less about the competition. Our kind of theme is learn and share. So you want to learn as much as you can with the more experienced guys. And if you have success on the water, we expect you to share that with our other members. So you don't have to give away your secret spot, but we want to know what you're using and how you're using it. So
that's pretty crazy to think about, that somebody still pulled a win away. I mean, you got to think about it like shore fishing against any kind of watercraft. You're starting out with a handicap right off the bat, according to how you look at it. I mean, it limits. I mean, if it's a deeper water bite, like, what are you going to do?
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, the name of the club is the Urban Angler Club, and you're looking at where we are in, you got LA County, Riverside County, and Orange County. A lot of the lakes that we're fishing are, I mean, I think the biggest one might be 300 to 350 acres. And then the rest of them are a lot smaller than that. So being able to fish from shore can actually have its advantages. I mean, I'm not exactly sure where you guys are in the country, but out west, we're already in that first wave of spawn. And because of the rules, I got out of my boat and sight fished one fish from the bank because I could. Yeah. And it's just a different twist on things. And like I said, in the springtime, if you're fishing from shore, you can cover a decent amount of the perimeter of the lake. Sometimes you might actually have a better vantage point than the guys on the boats.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, we're down here in Alabama, so we finally got out of the cold weather and have had a really nice warming trend. So it's about to go crazy down here. Actually, you said you came out to Gunnersville. I'm like 45 minutes, maybe an hour from being on Gunnersville.
Yeah.
So I live right down here in the mecca of the Tennessee River fishing.
And I'm 2 hours south of there.
Nice. I know that I fish a little better from shore than I do in the kayak, because one of the problems I have is positioning the kayak into the right spot to make a cast. I usually get one, maybe two casts into the spot I want, and then I'm drifting off the spot. I don't have a trolling motor on mine, so it's kind of hard to stay in the location you would like to be at. Ideally to catch the fish you're targeting. I just seem to do that better from shore than I can do from the kayak, but I thoroughly enjoy getting out in the kayak.
Heck yeah.
Cool.
What you got next for him, Dan?
Yeah, so let's kind of just talk about the tournament. And so first we'll talk about the benefit and why you had the tournament. And so why were you putting this on?
Well, it all came about. We have a set of tournaments scheduled already, and our first tournament that we just had on Sunday was scheduled as a regular tournament. Then when we found out about our Urban Angler Club member Jose, we decided to turn that tournament into a fundraiser. So we literally put it together in a week, 10 days, something like that. And it was just kind of like a rush, but we thought it had to be done. Before Jose passed away, he was in the hospital fighting for his life there for about a week. So, that was when we started putting it together for him. And after he passed, we just made it a fundraising tournament, for his family. So we had several guys already signed up before we changed the format of the tournament. So I just told them, if anybody wants to back out, we'll give them a full refund, and it's understandable. And they have no obligation to stay there for the, for the fundraiser. But we have such a great group of guys. Nobody backed out. We even have people who couldn't make the tournament paying the entry fee for the tournament, so it can all go to Jose. So 100% of everything we earned went to his family, and that includes, we have some raffles and stuff. We have some great sponsors that gave us a bunch of items to raffle off. And that's kind of like how it all came about and how we started it. Alex, Arnold, you guys have got any input on that?
Well, I just think that, like I said, like back in 2018, when at least I started with the club, it's really cool to see how much it's grown in size, but also how it's grown closer together between all the anglers. Some of those guys that are really close with Jose were able to speak about him. I didn't have the fortunate chance to really get to know Jose, but some of those guys just became close friends on and off the water, fishing aside. And, from fishing all of these different circuits up and down California and even out east, it's sometimes you get caught up in the competitive aspect of fishing. And when I kind of take a step back and come back home and I see the Urban Angler Club, where fishing is, I would say, maybe half the reason why these guys are getting together. The other half is just because they really like spending time with each other and learning, and whether they catch fish, that's one thing, and they'll brag about it for months at a time. But it's just good to see that there's that honest, true camaraderie among anglers, and it's not just about who's going to beat who.
That's one of my favorite things about our sport is the camaraderie and the brotherhood and stuff like that. I'm headed to Lake Fork tomorrow with absolutely no, I told the guys today I paid the entry fee just because in case, lightning strikes, I've paid and can win that tournament. But it's just like a vacation for me going to these tournaments, hanging out with all the guys. And especially, doing this podcast, man, we've made so many friends, me and Dan both, and talked to so many people. Getting to connect with everybody in person at the events and stuff's just a big bonus.
I think I got one of the biggest compliments from the club from Alex, and I've heard it from a few other guys since. Our club is mainly about the comradeship And just the tournaments are just an excuse to get together and go fishing. You know, the buy-ins are real low. There's not any big payouts. You know, we provide trophies and prizes at the tournaments. But one of the things Alex said, so one of the reasons why he makes such a big effort to come back and fish with us from doing those bigger tournaments he's in, but it's just a great positive vibe. And that's how we're trying to keep the club in that way. So, you know, it's just all about the comradeship, friendship, and an excuse to go fishing. So
that's right. All right. So unfortunately, it sounds like it was a pretty tough tournament out there that day for the people that did fish. So you had 44 anglers. Alex, you got first with 72 inches. Really only 8 people even caught a fish. Arnold second with 62 1/4, and then third went down to 2 fish, 26 inches, Ron Kim. So that was top 3. So yeah, kind of tell us about your day. We'll start with you, Alex. How'd it go for you? I mean, obviously it went good, but how did you catch them? What were you doing? All that good stuff.
Yeah, so just to kind of paint a picture for everybody who's listening about what Santa Fe Dam is, because you've got listeners from all over.
Yeah.
Santa Fe Dam, I don't know the size of it, but you can walk around the whole thing in maybe an hour easily. And it's all basically poured concrete, and there's water in it, surprisingly. It's about, I don't know, maybe 6 to 10 inches of visibility all year round. And half the lake is kind of just slanted concrete into the water, and then the other half is kind of riprap that's got some brush and some trees and everything. So for me, like I like to reaction fish, and I like to burn the bank as much as possible. And because of the dirty water, I just throw basically chatterbaits, crankbaits, and spinnerbaits every time that I go there.
Sounds perfect for you, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I already want to go now. That's just like me. So
yeah, and there are rumors that there are giants in there. I mean, I know that there are some local swim baiters that throw 10 to 12 inch glide baits and big trout swim baits, and sometimes they catch them. So there is a good reason to go to this lake, but no, really for the tournament, I just threw a black and blue 3/8 ounce Z-Man jackhammer, and I got lucky. I got 3 fish from between like 7 and 7:30 in the morning. I kind of burned one bank, and then I went kind of looking for bedfish because there's just enough clarity in the water to where you could almost predict where they're going to be in kind of some of the ends of the lake. So I spent about another 45 minutes on a bedfish that, like I said, I got out of my kayak, took 2 rods with me, walked about another 50 yards down the bank and caught it, and then measured it and put it right back. And then like my kicker was like a 16.75 that I caught later on in the day on a chatterbait again. But yeah, those fish were all just like dirt shallow, just cover a lot of water and put one right in front of one's face pretty much.
what looking at this, I just showed the map of the place on there, and it looks like chocolate milk on Google Earth. So like what causes it to be so cloudy and stained all the time? Any idea?
Arnold is the local to Santa Fe Dam, so he could probably share a lot more.
I asked a couple of the guys that work there. They couldn't really answer it, but they did tell me it's spring fed, I guess. It has all the water comes in from a well, but that water is like super clear. So, but it's pretty shallow. I think the deepest is around 14 feet, I believe. I'm not sure if
that's lake levels about 14 feet. Is the deepest is usually somewhere around 10 feet most of the year. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but they were saying that the water quality there is better than, say, the surrounding lakes because of that. The other lakes get their water from like runoff and stuff like that. So the water quality itself is better. Just the visibility is not that great.
Yeah, I have seen the lake water clear up quite a bit over there at Santa Fe Dam, but it's mostly pretty murky compared to some of our bigger lakes, not some of the smaller park lakes. But it's a great little place, and they don't allow gas motors in that lake. You could put a big bass boat in there, but you have to stay on the trolling motor. And because of that, it's just a great place to float tube and stuff because you don't have to worry about getting run over, at some of the bigger lakes you go and visit at. So it's kind of cool little place if you like to float tube and bring the kids out and stuff like that. Great place to get people started in fishing. So yeah.
And most of the fish there are like super pale. They're like almost white. They're like silverish color. They look crazy. You get a couple of them that are kind of marked up, like the ones that live in the tulies and stuff like that. But majority of them, they're like super pale. You could tell right away Santa Fe Dam fish.
Yeah.
Is it a like largemouth spotted bass or combination of everything?
Largemouth only.
Largemouth only.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they have other species like catfish and carp and stuff like that. But as far as the bass fishing go, it's just the largemouth.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And Alex, what's your chatterbait trailer? That's kind of always
about to ask.
The Seiko color Yamamoto Seiko.
The paddle tail one or the straight?
No, just the straight tail one. I don't personally like the paddle. I think that any kind of slim tail for a chatterbait that vibrates at the same frequency, I guess you could say, as the blade is ideal. Once you get that tail kicking a little bit more, I personally just think there's too much going on, and I pretty much fish it fast too. So once you start burning it, like, you don't really want too much secondary action out of that tail.
That's the using those paddle tail. The only way I got it to work that I liked it was by clipping the tail, kind of like you do in the winter on Kitex. And then I thought about it and I was like, well, at that point, why did I buy them? So
and any grass, so it's just toolies, I guess.
Well, in the summer, some of the grass will build up, so you'll start getting algae blooms as the water starts heating up, and we will get some grass build up there, and it'll produce a little bit of grass pats and stuff like that, where you might be able to throw a frog in there, but it's it's not heavily grassed out, so. But it's not bad. And just to get back to the chatterbait, one of the things I like to do in the chatterbait, I'll take one of the paddle tail small swim baits like a Castaic or something similar, and I'll cut that paddle tail off and rig the bait as a trailer upside down. And that way you're not getting the same kick you get out of that paddle tail. And it's a lot more subtle kick. Because like Alex was saying, you don't want too much back there because you're getting a lot of action from that blade on the chatterbaits.
Yeah.
I'll tell you just a little tidbit I've done is, and I use the same thought process on underspins as well as a fluke. It's a good. I don't know. I don't see a lot of guys do it. That it's not really secret information, but most of the guys I see throwing jackhammers are throwing like a creature bait on it or a Kitex. And one of the best days I've had with a chatterbait, I was throwing a fluke on the back of it because I had ran out of Kitex. So it was kind of a perfect little happening.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys swear by the trailer that comes with the original chatterbaits. That little, I mean, I don't. It's got like two little tentacles on the end of it, and
like a little rub kind of deal.
Yeah,
a split tail. Yeah,
right.
It's almost like that. Yeah.
The only thing I like to use those on, I'll still switch out the trailer though, but it's on those tiny chatterbaits. Sometimes I'll go down to those real small ones.
Yeah.
And they work pretty good. They'll produce big fish for you as well, especially when the bait fish is small. So I'll throw that smallest chatterbait they make, and I'll put on a little paddle tail trailer or I can't even think of the name of it, but it's a little fork tail chat bait that I actually pour myself, and it's only 2.75 inches, and it just makes a great trailer on those tiny chatterbaits. And I'll use something like that when nothing else is working. You'll get some bites, and oftentimes you'll get a big one. So.
Yeah, I've got some of those tiny chatterbaits, dude, and they're worth their weight in gold because they're getting harder to find around here. I mean, they're like stupid tiny. Like,
yeah.
I actually want to say that I've got them in the crappie section. They're so small. But...
Yeah, I actually got some blades. I was going to start making my own in that small size, but I just haven't got to it yet. So.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
may have to hit you up for some then.
If I ever start making them. Arnold, how did you get yours, man?
My technique was a lot different than Alex. I actually was
Uh-oh.
throwing something super basic, a small 1/32 Kayak tungsten jig head with a 2-inch easy shiner on it, and on 5-pound test, spinning rod, working the bank, and then just picking up a couple. The only reason I think it worked because the length limit was so low. It was a 11-inch length limit.
Mhm.
So my thinking was like just pick up a quick limit of smaller fish, and then try to get a kicker at the end or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's a good method.
But the weird thing is the easy shiner is a bluegill flash color, so it's kind of like translucent, and you wouldn't think it would be that effective, in that dirty water, but those fish are used to that water, so they could still key in on something like that. They'll find it, even though they're used to that, the visibility. So that was just working the bank. What's that?
No, I was just gonna say I think color doesn't. Shad, they don't change their color no matter what color the water is. The bass still find them and they still eat them. So I just think any natural type baits will work. I know I've always grown up knowing the dark water, you want to fish dark baits because of the silhouette and everything. But I think the natural baits work in the murky water as well.
That's something I was going to say was that, for me, like, I think we all know those rules with, dark baits, dark water, which honestly for me changed because when I grew up, a lot of guys were all about throwing white and chartreuse in muddy water. And, but I've like those easy shiners you're talking about, I have that exact color and everything. And that's like if it's tough, any of those translucent, easy shiners or, some of the flukes that are a little more transparent, that's my go-to. Go back to something that looks as close to real. I mean, I even throw some of those, what is it, Castaic? I can't remember.
Turkey J.
Yeah. It looks like they cast netted a bunch of bait and threw it in a bag, and if it gets that bad, I'll throw one of those on a little jig head and throw it.
I know Castaic made like this little tiny shad bait. It was probably 2.5 inches, something like that, maybe 3 at the most, and it had sort of like a little real thin curly tail on it, a lot thinner than you see on your typical grubs. And those things were just killers. They were already rigged for you too, so they were pre-rigged with the weight inside the bait. And I haven't seen those baits in a long time, but that was one of my go-to baits, a few years ago when I was fishing the bigger bass tournaments. And I just don't ever see those anymore. I don't know if they still make them or not.
While we're talking about this, just because I love talking about tackle, so we're going to kind of stay sidetracked on tackle for a second. For you guys, have either of y'all or any of y'all fishing that smaller lakes like that tried the Mega Bass Okashira heads?
I did. I've caught a couple on them.
Do you have the head with the blade or just the head?
No, with the blade. No, with the blade. Yeah, the screw head, right? Yeah.
Yeah, screw head. Yeah, that's what they call it.
Same trailer, same size. That works pretty good too.
That I was never into the small jig head fishing and small swim baits until I found some underwater footage of one of those, listening to the sound that little screw head makes, and it's so different from chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, and everything else. It sounds like somebody's tapping a pin on a little metal wire underwater, just barely. And that it's another one of my little go-tos, man. When it gets tough, get out a little 2-inch swim bait, put it on that. I think I use like the 16th ounce ones, man. They're so small.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that because Oliver and I of Big Bass Dreams, the lake that he grew up on is the second lake that we fish in the Urban Angler Club, Pudding Stone. And I hadn't tried any of those Okashira screwheads until I saw his footage of him catching crappie and bass on it. And then I put it on, and sure enough, I started catching them. It definitely takes some patience and some light line, but it also works really, really well, especially for these anywhere in Southern California, because you got lots of people, pressured water, and small bodies of water.
Yeah, I've seen it at the store. That's something I haven't thrown yet.
Yeah.
In our state, Pudding Stone, it's a lot clearer than Santa Fe Dam as well. So you do really well with some of the smaller baits there. So
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
all these lakes have I don't know if you guys know what those silverside minnows are. They're
Mhm.
kind
Yeah,
of like a little slim.
Pudding
So
Stone
these
floated
lakes,
with those.
yeah, these lakes are full of those. So that small bait is like a perfect imitation for that, you know. So those bass are used to eating those little baits. So that's why I think it works good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why the jerk baits work so well too, because they're slender. I like throwing the small sizes too, like the 65 size instead of the 110s. And I just get bit so much and by big fish. As a matter of fact, I've caught a couple of 12-pounders on that little jerk bait. You know, with 6-pound, maybe 8-pound line at the most, something like that. I think someone said Arnold said he used 5-pound. I use 5-pound a lot when we're fishing. Some of our waters can get pretty clear. And one of the lakes called Diamond Valley, it's one of the larger lakes in California. And that water is real clear there. You can see almost 30 feet down. So you either have to go with real tiny baits or the big trout baits, one or the other, to get bit. So I was used to fish that lake a lot. So I got really used to throwing small baits.
I started using 5-pound because of Alex. I remember one time he won and he mentioned what his setup was for his drop shot setup. And he said, yeah, that Sunline Sniper, I believe it's super strong, you know, and it's really thin, gives you more action.
Sunline Sniper is my go-to line. I love that stuff. But y'all are talking all sorts of weird stuff about light line, man. I don't go under 10-pound on my drop shot. I tried 8-pound,
I just stepped up to 8-pound. I just stepped up to 8-pound after losing a couple key fish in some previous tournaments. I was like, so now I just use it for like the real small stuff, just as a leader.
My thing was, I don't like when I'm throwing a drop shot or any kind of spinning gear, like I don't horse the fish or anything. And I'm very, very confident with like knot tying because I like tying knots. It's something that, you know, you fiddle with your hands and your brain and tie a knot. And I don't know, 8-pound, like I trust FC Sniper, but first fish I hooked with it, maybe it was a giant, who knows? But I mean, it just boink, and I was like, all right, nope, done with this. That's not. I ain't never broke 10-pound like that. So,
well, what's funny? Go ahead, Kirk.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that Sunline is really good line. And when Alex was sharing what he was using, it was kind of funny because we were using the same line. We both used that Sunline 5-pound, and because of that, another club member had his spinning reel spooled up with 5-pound leader. I think he had an 8 or 10-pound braid line with 5-pound leader drop shotting. And they were on a family outing. His younger brother grabbed his pole, threw it out there like for the last cast of the day, and hooked a 14-pounder. So they were able to get that 14-pound bass in on 5-pound test. So that was quite an accomplishment, I thought.
No, that wouldn't happen for me. Not even a chance.
The hook, I could understand the line not breaking, but it's crazy the hook didn't bend out.
No, you know, I think like that, but then I think fly fishing, you know, like tiny hooks still catch giant trout.
Yeah.
And that tournament that Arnold's talking about where I dropped down to 5-pound. So the third lake in our series for the urban anglers is Castaic Lagoon, which is notorious for Butch Brown. If you guys have heard of that guy, that's the only place that he fishes, and he catches, I don't know how many teeners and 12-pounders and 10-pounders out of the lake fishing his swim baits. But so there's giant fish in there. There's, you know, ones that will commit to a 10-inch swim bait or an 8-inch Huddleston or whatever. But if you're not catching them on those big baits, then you have to drop down and fish light line because it's the polar opposite of Santa Fe Dam. It's really deep. It gets down to like 65, 70, the deepest part. It gets clear and it gets cold. And that lake is, because of where it is, it's typically a month behind in the seasons where the winter lasts a little bit longer, summer's a little bit shorter, and the springtime is a lot smaller of a window. But it's just funny to think about. I mean, in this conversation alone, we're talking about a place like Santa Fe Dam. We're talking about Pudding Stone, which kind of has a little bit of everything. And that's my favorite lake to fish back home. And then Castaic Lagoon, where you know that there's giant fish out there. Butch Brown does it all the time, but just catching one of those for myself or any of like the regular guys, it's just near impossible.
Castaic's actually famous worldwide, actually, for producing double-digit fish. I know there's been several top. If you look at the top bass category, like the top 20 or something like that, there will be more than one of them from Castaic Lake. I can't remember the last time I looked at that list, but several really big bass come out of Castaic, both the main lake and the lagoon. And Butch Brown's famous for putting together just stringers of double-digit fish. He'll have 5 or 6 fish in one day, all over 10 pounds. I don't know if he's done that recently, but back in the day, he would do it on a regular basis.
Have you, Dan or Jimmy, had the chance to fish out here on the West Coast at all, or no?
No, it's on my list. Like, I really wanted to make the Clear Lake trip last year for, I can't even remember who was there. And because of time and, work and stuff, it came down to California or La Crosse, and I really wanted to fish the Mississippi River because I like fast moving water, and that was like, well, we'll do this year, and then we'll go out west next year. And now I don't think any of the big trails are coming out there this year. So,
well, there's 2 options to fish Clear Lake. We now have basically a California qualifier. So Bass didn't bring out one of their trail events, but we do have a qualifier on Clear Lake. So that's going to be May 23rd, and that's going to be a big event. And then for the KBF trails, we actually have 3 trail events. So everybody else has like their 2-day, 1 weekend tournaments. We've got a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So there's going to be a handful of those East Coasters. I think Russ and maybe Cody Milton are going to come out.
Russ is going to come back out there and let everybody know that he's still the man on those waters.
Yeah, well, he did it to us last year. That's for sure. But I think a lot of guys, if they're willing to travel, I mean, at least out of anything, this is the best reason to come out west, is because you have 3 trails to basically qualify or add to your Angler of the Year points.
Is it your qualifier? Is it one of the like state level bass nations?
It's kind of the same equivalent, pretty much. For kayak.
But it's just a one event instead of like a thing.
Right. This year it's a 1-day event, and then next year they're going to run a series and then a TOC to qualify.
So that's what I do for Alabama. We did a 1-day event last year, and we have a trail series this year, and then Tennessee and Georgia kind of do the same thing. So that's cool that y'all got that, though. We want to, Bassmaster's the OG. It's cool to see. Like, I actually got it in the mail today, Bassmaster magazine, that had Jody Queen and his kayak on the front page.
Yeah.
Like, cool. That's not me, but that's a kayak. Look at us go. Like, check us out. We're
Kings of the Kayak or something like that.
Do what?
Yeah, I got mine today too. It said like Kings of the Kayak. Yeah.
That's Jody.
Yeah. I was stationed in Tacoma, and I've been to California, but whenever I was up there, I just fished saltwater the whole time. I didn't fish any freshwater.
That's what I like also about Kirk's tournaments. It makes you go out, try new bodies of water. That, like, I tried I fished Lake Parrish for the first time with him. I fished Castaic Lagoon for the first time with him, and get you out there trying new lakes, and they're like one of my favorites to go out there. So
very cool.
Yeah, we try to spread it out a little bit. So, what we try to do, we have a handful of lakes, and for our tournament series, we try to hit each lake 2 times, and then on the last tournament, we'll have like a picnic afterwards for our group, and then we'll give the awards out for that final tournament, and then we'll also name the Urban Angler of the Year, which Arnold actually won that in 2019. So he was our first Urban Angler of the Year. And it was a tight race. We have, 3 or 4 guys there that could have won it on that last tournament. And I know Alex is right up in there as well. Matter of fact, I think Alex went into that last tournament leading it. So
I think if Alex would have caught 1 fish, he would have won. Right? Or was it something like that?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell by the look on Alex's face right now. Yeah. You're opening up a wound. Let's talk about it then.
Oh yeah, well, I got plenty of those. Like, I fished the day before this last event. The ABA had a tournament down in San Diego at Lake Hodges, and that's a new series to California, especially Southern California. And out of 50 of some really, really good sticks, the day was just tough. There was also only 17 fish caught. First place had 3, second place had 2 fish. And I didn't catch anything on that Saturday. So Sunday I go to Santa Fe Dam and I just wail on the first fish that bites because I actually got bit in a week. Yeah, going into that 2019, that last event, we went back to Santa Fe Dam and I had some good history there. And sure enough, I think I was in first in the standings, and I think Anthony may have been second, and we both blanked, and we just stood there at the awards ceremony looking at each other like, yep, Arnold definitely took that from us.
I had the advantage because that's my home lake, so, but these guys still kill it out there.
Yeah,
That's
but
cool. Y'all definitely got a cool
Alex,
thing
they
going on.
fished in national events. So the fact that we had one of our local guys from the club actually win the whole thing, it just shows you the kind of competition we have. You can have good sticks like Alex and one of our other members, part of the G team, Anthony Garcia. And we actually have quite a few of our members that fished larger kayak events, and they're all pretty good. And they come down and fish my little club events, and the locals do just as good against them a lot of times. Now these guys are always at the top. Don't get me wrong; they're good fishermen, but some of the local guys can hang with them. So and it's nice that they come to our tournaments because they have a lot of knowledge that they can share with everybody else. So I really appreciate that. And the effort Alex makes sometimes to get over to our tournaments. He'll fish in, like, was that last year or a year before that, 2019? I think you fished a Clear Lake event, didn't you, in North California? You fished,
yeah.
It came on a Saturday. It came back down on a Sunday to fish our event. That's quite a bit. Even San Diego from Los Angeles is what, 2-hour drive. If you fish all day on Saturday, then you come on Sunday to fish another tournament. I mean, you're making a big effort to fish, our small club event, and we know it's not for the money because there's not a whole lot of money to get ours. But like you said, the comradeship and it's just a lot of fun. Hanging with the guys, talking some mess, and doing some fishing.
Heck
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it. Where, like, in the beginning of 2019, when I first met Anthony, part of the G team, he was on kind of like an older Hobie Outback, but I mean, he won the first event fishing from a bike, bought a kayak, and then started
from shore.
Yeah. And then started doing well in the kayak. And I looked at him maybe in like March or April, and I said, dude, you could do these KBF tournaments and some of these other organizations up north, like, no problem. Like, you're there. If you want to do it, we'll travel together, camp out, whatever we got to do. And, sure enough, like, he and I he's now one of my travel partners, and we go up and down California. And he and I both drove out to Gunnersville for the KBF National Championship. And, that's kind of one of the reasons why I like the Urban Angler Club, is because I want to kind of convince people that in this growing sport of kayak fishing, anybody can join. You don't have to buy a $60,000 bass boat. It's a cheaper alternative to tournament fishing. And I mean, we're just seeing the sport grow even more. I mean, going into this year, how many kayaks and trolling motors and accessories are sold out going into, the second or third quarter of the year. But, there's a lot of guys that I think, either just need a little nudge in the right direction, and they're there ready to compete against some of the bigger names.
Alex makes a good point here. One of the things that the Urban Angler Club does is bring people together. So a lot of people met Jose through the Urban Angler Club and became really good friends and really close to him. Alex is talking about, I mean, he joined the Urban Angler Club. He didn't know Anthony before that. He met him through the club, and now they're travel partners at some of the bigger tournaments. I'm sure Arnold has some similar stories as well.
Yeah. I met a bunch of great guys through the club. Alex, there's countless guys that I've met through there. Before, I used to be like a lone wolf, just fishing by myself, and I actually have fishing buddies that I could call and go on trips and stuff like that. That's one of the great things about joining a local club like this. Just all the friendships you make.
We've had a few guys that didn't fish at all hardly. They were just interested in it, and they learned about the club through someone, and they would give me a call and come by the house, and I would help set them up, with some simpler techniques like Texas rig and drop shot, and some of those guys now are 3 or 4 years into fishing, and they've been catching some pretty decent fish, and either at our tournaments or on their own. So it's nice to see somebody come in like that. And I know Arnold's talked about this. It might be the same for Alex, but fishing is just very therapeutic. At least it is for me. Just being out there in the outdoors, and even if I don't catch anything, and that's what we're trying to strive for, and bringing people into the club that it's more than just an outdoor activity. So we're trying to get people off their screens. It's computers, it's phones, it's TVs, and try and get them out that virtual world and into the reality of the outdoors. So and we do that through fishing. So that's kind of like our goal is to kind of go in that direction. And we want the Urban Angler Club to be more of a community service, and we just happen to do tournaments every now and again. So
very cool. So since this is a benefit, Kirk, you were saying before this that there's a way that people can still donate. They're doing a raffle.
Yeah, there's 2 gentlemen in the club, and they were really close to Jose, and they didn't know him until he joined the club. And these guys both are bait makers, and one of them's a bait maker. He hand ties jigs, and his name is Aldo Orozco, and he runs Boondock Baits. So if you guys go on Instagram and just look up Boondock Baits, you can find Aldo there, and you can see the kind of jigs he makes. But more importantly, he's partnering up with another gentleman who I'll mention in a minute to do a raffle of some pretty high-end items. There's some Corrado reels in there and some high-end rods that got donated by some tackle shops, and they're raffling those off to raise more money for Jose to give to his family. So they did a pretty good job at the tournament with that, and they're going to continue it for about another week. The other gentleman, he doesn't make baits, but he makes a clothing line of urban fishing wear. So all the clothes that they have, it has like an urban fishing theme on it. And one of his taglines, or his main tagline, is "Fish Your City." So he has a really cool line of clothing. His name is John Sanchez, and you can find him on Instagram as well at Stay Bent Anglers. So those are 2 guys that were very instrumental in making this this fundraiser possible and successful. So we could get people to go on and visit their Instagram sites and stay tuned for when the raffles are going to happen. That'll be really cool. I know they were doing they actually Stay Bent actually had they're doing a live broadcast today, I believe, from Instagram, about the same time we're doing this. So, but I just think it's really great to see these guys come together like this. And even for this fundraiser was amazing, because we have several anglers that weren't in our club that decided to come in and come just for the fundraiser. They didn't know Jose. They just heard about him and wanted to support him. So I think that's pretty good. I think the angling community is great. It doesn't matter your race or your religion or anything like that. We're just one big happy family when we're out there on the water. So it's just a pretty awesome thing to experience. And I feel very lucky to have the kind of guys I have in the club. I don't know what else to say. It's just a bunch of great guys, just lucky, I guess.
There you go. And we've had y'all on for almost an hour here now. We don't want to take up any more of your time, but anytime we have somebody on, we want to give you a chance to give a shout out to anybody that makes fishing easier for you. Arnold, we'll start with you, man.
Just main thanks for Kirk for getting us all together and giving me an opportunity to meet all these guys, that's pretty much it.
There you go. Pond Prowler, man. Man. Shout out. Alex, how about you?
A couple sponsors, BioNO Batteries. I just jumped on with the team for New Canoe this year.
Uh-oh.
And I just want to thank tournament directors across the country, because I know that I wouldn't be able to do it, but I really like to thank anybody who just makes an opportunity for us to get on the water. And you guys, we started a podcast earlier in the year, and I just think that giving people of all sorts and all opportunities, like just the chance to tell their story is amazing. And thanks you guys for having us.
Which podcast is it?
Shout it out, dude.
So Shane and I run the Bass Thumbs Fishing Podcast.
I didn't know that was you. Yeah, man, I'm a subscriber, dude. I've listened to that.
Yeah, so we just got started. We like to chat.
Or keep your thumbs drip.
Yeah, always keep your thumbs ripped. That's us.
Drip.
Yeah, we just like to shed a little light to the West Coast, and we like to interview guys that win big tournaments, small tournaments, and just about anywhere in between.
There you go. Yeah, man, I'm about that. Kirk, how about you?
Well, just the members in the Urban Angler Club, but we do have some pretty big sponsors that help us keep going and provide us with products to raffle or give away as prizes for some of our winners. I'll just like to name it, and some of these guys were pretty big in giving us product to sell or raffle off for the fundraiser. One of them is LA Alliance, is a tackle shop in Los Angeles. I believe it's in San Pedro, right? Yeah. So and then there's a city called Brea, and I guess that's more in the Orange County area, but it's Fisherman Access. They gave me a couple of nice rods, and they've helped in other tournaments as well. And then there's we got a new partner that just came on with us at the end of last year. It's called Fishing Syndicate. They make custom rods. They have a rod shop where they produce custom rods. They're well known for their saltwater rods, but they're coming on strong with their bass and trout rods as well. And they make some good inshore rods too for the guys who want to fish the bays and harbors. So that's about it.
Very cool. Well, we appreciate y'all being on, and continued success for the rest of the year. And we appreciate everything you do, Kirk. And thank y'all.
Thank you, Dan, for having us on.
Thank you.
All right. See y'all. All right. There we go. Let's talk about these tournaments. First up, the other big one. Well, there were a couple of big ones, but the national one was the Hobie on Broken Bow. Obviously, we talked about that. 110 anglers. Russ Snyder's, that guy's ridiculous. Dugout team member. He had 178.5 inches. Justin Brewer was in second. 168.25. Luke Arian, 164. Tom View, 162.75. And Nick Matthews in fifth with 161.75. Biggest tournament. We do 5 anglers. Queen City Kayak Bass Fishing, 141 anglers. That's right. Grassroots Trail, 141 anglers. As always, the only trail in the club that does 4 fish limit. Chris Gravely, 87.5 inches in first. Eric McCormick with 80.5. Jeremy Heath in third with 78.75. Then you had Tennessee Valley Kayak Anglers. They were on Garnersville, 53 anglers, 3 fish limit. Joseph Kurt with a mega bag. Ready? 65.75 inches for 3 fish limit. They were 22.5, 22 and 21.25. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a nuts sack, dude. That was like, I remember, I know they fish 3 fish, but when I pulled it up, I was like, oh, that must have been a bad day on a 5-fish tournament. And I put my phone down and I was like, wait, no. Hold on. And I pulled my phone back up and was like, good God, should have went to Gunnersville this weekend.
Yeah. I just like that you said nuts sack.
I was wondering if you caught that. You didn't laugh. And I was like, well, there went that joke.
And then you had the father and son dynamic duo of Brad Golden and Terry Golden. Brad got second with 61.5 and Terry Golden with 57.75. And then San Antonio Kayak Fishing, they were on Choke Canyon, which I keep hearing stuff about that place. 40 anglers, Matt Uterti, and he keeps showing up. He keeps winning or getting top 3 and everything. 101 inches. Yeah, 101 inches. Robert Adcock with 97 3/4, and then Brian Beck with 96 3/4. So Choke Canyon, yeah, put that on your list. And then like who was just talking about that? Alex, he was talking about the ABA tournament on Lake Hodges, 50 anglers, 5 fish limit, super tough fishing. Only 13 out of 50 people had a fish at all. So yeah, brutal. Johnny Baynard with 52 3/4, 5 fish limit. He had 3 fish. That won. Second was Chris Cabral, or Cabral. Sorry, dude. 31 3/4, 2 fish limit. Second place. And third place was Daryl Bogosian. Again, I'm sorry. 22 1/4. He only had 1 fish. Got third place. So yeah, Biz 22 1/4. So yeah, it was a nice fish. So yeah, brutal. That was it. So that's all the tournaments, 30 or more. So yeah, it's a good week. We appreciate having those guys on. It's a nice, club doing something good for somebody. That's always good. So there you go. We lost Jimmy, but it's the end of the show. Yeah, we'll see y'all again next week. Just stay good, be nice to each one another. It's tough out there. So, yep. See you again for too long. All right.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in Northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com